Hello, welcome to December 12th, 2022. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation, exercise, and video. This is something that I've been doing for a long time, at least 4 years. Waking up and cleaning up and getting right to the remembrance of each of my life objectives and principles. Maybe even a little bit of a deliberation on them, but it's enough just to name them. And on top of that, I'll also go over how yesterday went, including last night, and I'll plan for the coming day, anticipating where opportunities and challenges are awaiting me in the next 24 hours, so I can do better when they arrive, or if they arrive, also to prepare myself for the unexpected. So let's do it. And good morning, Parker. First, last night and yesterday, I'm feeling surprisingly fit and chipper, given that I was awake for a good part of the night last night. I was like, hello, dog. Let me just record this. Surprisingly, I was up a lot last night thinking about work. It's I don't know why. I had a really good, well, I do know why. I had a really powerful week last week, and it really closed the week on Friday really well. And the reason is that there's a lot of important stuff going on this week, and it's important that I be on top of those things. That's why I was thinking about it. But midway through the night, I changed the narrative a little bit in my head. And, oh, by the way, if you hear thunder, there's a thunderstorm going on outside. The thunder's a bit distant. It might not pick up in the mic, but there's a steady cacophony from the clouds tonight, or this morning. So, it's about it's exactly 4:30 a.m. right now. Anyway, I changed the narrative a little bit under the suggestion of Juan, who suggested that I try to visualize instead of rehearsing in my mind. And I didn't even really realize I was doing this. He didn't say this part, but I picked it up based on what he said. Instead of rehearsing disaster in my mind, try to visualize things working out well, which they nearly always do. So they work out well in spite of my negative prognostications. I think that's the right word. Forecast. So what if I was to visualize things working out positively? Like I've got one meeting this morning. Well, I've got one activity for one of my projects. It's a real important one that finishes on Wednesday. And I've got the one thing that I didn't do on Friday. I think I mentioned this before, that I did everything but one thing. That one thing now is coming to haunt me. And I have an idea. So So last night, instead of visualizing the disaster that will result of that, I visualized how I could handle it. And it caused me to think about how I can work with the team early in the morning. We are going to have a meeting. We'll go through the items in a particular list one by one, talk about the responses. Way overdue. We really dropped the ball. I dropped the ball on this one. Did drop the ball. That's a real limit. What is it? It's a real fact. And how can I pick that ball back up? And what's the worst thing that happens if it falters? What is well, I don't need to necessarily start work right now, but that's what I would do. You're getting a little sample of what it's like to be me in the middle of the night, laying there thinking, okay, what happens if that doesn't? What do I do? Why did I? So here's the thing, what did I do? How did I manage to not deal with this? Why did I not address this during the week? What am I going to do about it now? And what's going to happen if I fail to do it? And I don't answer really any of those questions. I just mull them over to not getting anywhere. Let's see if I can change that narrative a little bit. Wow, that was a big noise. What if I could change that narrative a little bit and instead say, I know why I didn't do it last week, because there were more pressing things at hand, and that's true. I even mentioned that to management, that things are starting to fall behind. We're starting to miss some items because of the attention that there's too many things going on. That's why. That's the why. It wasn't negligence or that I didn't care. It's just that I was too busy. What else? What can I do about it? Well, I have an early morning meeting with the customer. That's the challenge. But I wish the meeting with the customer was later, because then I could rally with the team and decide what to do. But I'll look at that list of things and I'll discuss with the customer. Maybe we'll go over the list with the customer. That's not a bad idea. It might have the danger of revealing my ignorance, and that person will not be very satisfied with that, and the lack of forward motion. But I can segregate out items that maybe can or can't be addressed in this stage of the project, okay? And then what's the worst that happens if we can't address this? Well, what is the worst that happens? Well, worst that happens is that they don't finish this task, and that particular customer's piece of work stays behind, which is not good. It's more of a difficult thing for me to manage, but I can. But it's not the end of the world. Okay. I don't feel like I really got very far with that, but it was better than just asking why, who, what, if, without coming up with any answers. I guess what Juan was suggesting I do is visualize a successful outcome. Like visualize the meeting with the customer and going over that and successfully recognizing the things that are and are not within scope. Then meeting with the team a little later and doing the same and deciding how to move forward. And the vendor will be there as well, which items need attention, which do not. And then getting the customer to recognize that some items may need to be put on the back burner. And I have a separate log. I have a separate log for each customer for things that can't be fixed in the immediate moment. Because it's not about, there you go, Kurt. Thank you, Juan. It's not about fixing all the problems that the customer identified. It's about, is anything missing? Keep it focused, Kurt, on the question. I'm revealing more about the task than anybody needs to know. But that's the thing. Don't get distracted by the fact that the customer may bring to the table problems that are outside of the scope of the current task. If that's the case, then address them as such. Put them in the list of things that need to be done. The issue log for that customer. But focus on, is anything missing? And if anything is missing, then they'll have to do another poll. I think we found the answer. Ask ourselves, what is the mission here? Ask ourselves, is the mission being met? Because it's not about fixing problems at this point. It's about moving things over. Yeah. Again, more details than you care about. I'm already feeling better. And the reason I'm trying to tap into that is that Juan has he's a project manager too for the same organization. He has kind of a peace and a balance and an equanimity about him that I really admire. Nothing, he is unflappable, to use a nice word. The work, he really is. And I'm trying to tap into that. I'm feeling a little less flappy myself right now after that little exercise. Thank you, Juan. Pardon me. Otherwise, yesterday was a good day. Not too much in terms of challenges. All of our shopping and cleaning was done. It was mostly just a day of fun. Free Miko and I took two really good dog walks. We went out and had lunch at a Japanese Italian fusion place, which reminded us a lot of Japanese restaurants in Japan. Italian restaurants in Japan, but they have that kind of a Japanese feel to it. The margarita pizza was spot on. The mentaiko, I think it was mentaiko, carbonara in udon noodles of all things was really good too. And a nice Caesar salad with buttery flavored croutons. It was nice. Then we went out and we went to a Japanese bakery and got some bread. I ate too much. That was good. Then we came home and had a nice dinner, watched a show together, and then I went to bed early, or right on time. Okay. Let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are as follows. Number 1 is to be always ready to die. Excuse me, while I adjust this a little bit. There we go. To have my life activities, my paperwork, my bank accounts, my letters, my bills paid, all that stuff in order. Also to have my relationships in good situation. And it is, and I did call my mom this weekend. And also to have my life's work in a steady, settled state. And it is. My book, Going Alone, is done and available on Amazon, in bookstores, or in or via my website, goingalone.org. It's done. That means that my life is done. My life's work is over. Now, every day after this is just a bonus. The main part is done. When I was 24 or 23 years old, sitting there on the beach, my little motorhome there at Moonstone Beach in Humboldt County, wondering what my life's work would be. What would I do in this world? I had no idea that it would be this, because I had to live the journey before I could write about it. But the journey has been completed. The writing and editing are done. The story is complete. My life is done. Doesn't mean it's finished. Doesn't mean I'm ready to die. I am ready to die, but doesn't mean I want to die. At least I think I'm ready to die. Let's see what happens. The moment comes, right? Okay, so that's principle or objective number 1. Objective number 2 is to make a good. Pardon me. Objective number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. To not waste another day. So many wasted days so far. And I'm pretty good about not wasting days anymore. I make good effort out of all of them. Number 3, and the number 1 thing besides work, which supports all the infrastructure of my life, is, at least for now, is this video. Making this video is the high point of the day, in addition to my ocean swim. My 3rd objective is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these 7 objectives and 32 principles that I am discussing and thinking about right now. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become a man who reacts well to the circumstances of life, to whatever comes. I'm getting much better at that. It's pretty hard to flap me anymore, but I'm not as good as Juan. Next is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm applying myself where my efforts can be best utilized and make the best ends. Then last objective is to recognize, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Now my 32 principles. Number 1 is the principle of war, to always be fighting against what I already think is true, and anything of seeming importance that is proposed to me is true. Number 2 is the principle of reason, which is what I use in the aforementioned war. The sub-principles here are honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. This is the approach that I take in looking at anything in life to ascertain if it's true. Humiliation is the others are pretty obvious, but the humiliation means that I embrace the humiliation that comes of discovering that I'm wrong. I welcome it. Number 3 and number 4 are the homunculus and the anchor hold, and they go together. I don't believe that I have a soul, or any of us does, but I do know that I have a consciousness, it seems. That is something I call the homunculus, the little man inside the man. The anchor hold is a reminder that the homunculus is trapped inside me and can't get out. It's like a man stuck on a rock in an ocean, in the middle of an ocean with great waves and splash, and cold wind, and it's slippery on the sides. And if he falls out or she falls off, then that's the end of them. That's how our consciousness is inside of our cranium here. It's trapped on this rock of this body. And when they slip off, when we die, the consciousness goes down with us, never to return. An absolute end. Next is the principle of purpose. There are three sub-purposes, sub-purpi, if you will, in my life. Number one is to be a good husband and father, to fulfill my biological mandate to reproduce. Number two is to be a virtuous man, where virtue is defined as seeking after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And number three is whatever personal objective or purpose I choose for myself. And for me, that has been the writing of my book, Going Alone, and then the sharing of this Good Life Creed, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. This video is the fulfillment of my purpose. My number one is complete. My daughter's raised and practically on her own. Just a few more years and she'll be out on her own. Number two, virtue. That's just something I do ongoing every day. It's at a steady, both number one and number two are in a settled state. Emily would survive and carry on without me now, if I was to die. Virtue, well, I can't do that when I'm dead, so I just keep it up while I'm alive. In the book, it's all done. So it may die out when I die out, but it won't be for want of trying, making this video every day. Okay, number 6. The sixth principle is the atomic principle. Everything in the universe is made of little bits and pieces, atoms and molecules, and everything is falling to pieces. Number 7 is the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is. It's the nature of Juan to be unflappable. He built that nature. He developed it through his efforts of visualization, many decades of meditation and study. And it's my nature to want to improve. So I'm going to learn from Juan and try those visualization techniques. Maybe I'll ask Juan about meditation. Have a perfect opportunity every day at the beach, I think. Next is the principle of maturity. No, so nature. No, that was it, right? Atomic principle, then nature, and then the next is the pirate ride. I always stumble here. The pirate ride is just a simple reminder that free will is an illusion. We're not free. We're not destined either. We are compatible with the universe. We are like a river flowing down a stream, or a leaf blowing in the wind. Seen from one perspective, these seem like they might be making choices to go to the left or the right, or to tumble this way or that, but in fact, they are nudged and pushed and jostled by the universe about them. So too, you and me. Although we have this seeming will of volition, I don't think it's our own. Well, it is our own, but I don't think we're making any choices that we could otherwise make. The next principle is maturity, and the sub-principles here are wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Maturity is a state we arrive at when we wisely remember our past successes and failures and strive to do better, have the fortitude, the strength to do better. Integrity is the resulting life of balance that comes when our the results of our efforts are in alignment with our principles. Now comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other. And the sub-principles here, and I think there's 5, are best words, trying to use the best words we can find for the circumstances that we're in. Eloquence, which comes with practice. No, I'm thinking of a different principle. The sub-principles here are diplomacy, the effort we make to work together to come to agreement about what constitutes the just state, the good city, the better way of life for us all. Diplomacy, justice, which is that kind of almost like a legislation and then the enforcement of amongst ourselves of agreed upon principles and rules for best living. So diplomacy, justice, Oh, conspiracy, when we link arms and work together towards those ends. And then I think that's it. Well, there's two more. There's two. Oh, yeah. I can't remember. Come on up. Come on, Ollie. Ollie, come here. Come here. Good boy. Come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Oh, my little dog. Yeah, you're a good boy. So, social principle. Diplomacy, justice, conspiracy. Maybe just those three. The next principle is public speaking. Public speaking, the effort that we make to communicate well. And this is where we have best words, trying to choose the best words for the situation and the message that we're trying to convey. You want to snuggle in? Okay, go ahead. Best words, and then eloquence, which comes in practice, and watching other good speakers, good communicators do their thing. Prudence is the filter that we run our ideas and our words through before they come out, to make sure that they're, again, in alignment with our values. And then the two negatives are rumor and gossip. I try to avoid those. Now, next is public speaking, social principle, public speaking. Oh, distraction? Yeah, I think distraction and then agency and the great indifference. Two principles that go together. We distract ourselves all of our lives with things so we don't have to think about the hard things. Where are you going, buddy? The hard things being, all of this. How to live well, how to have good values, how to do better. And on how to deal with the fact that we seem to be alone in the universe and there is no God. That's what I call the great indifference, the recognition of the emptiness of the universe. That is the aim and ambition of going alone. And then to turn around and come back and make a good life for ourselves in spite of that fact. Ollie, come here. He's awfully restless. I might need to speed things up. He might need to go out. It's wet out there. Okay, so come here. So I'm going to speed things up. I'm going to give myself a lightning round to finish off. So that would be, let me use the book to help me, so I don't miss anything. It's a brand new copy, so it should be up to speed. Okay. So public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born. See, it's all in this one chapter called the Good Life. It's all listed out, each of the principles and their descriptions. And some nice handy quotes, relevant quotes. The Feast of Offal, the principle of distraction, agency and the great indifference, I've been doing that wrong. Public speaking, and that's why it was all messed up, because I did it a little bit wrong. There you go. The best seat in the house, but I got it covered. The restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, and the principle of fun. Yeah, he really needs to go out. Let's wrap this up. So for today, I'm going to finish this. I'll take the dogs out, let them outside, feed them. I don't think I'll walk them because of the rain and the thunder. And then start my day of work. And I'll do as I said before, in terms of recognizing the reality of the situations. And there's no circumstance I've ever been in, any job that I've ever had, that hasn't been resolvable in one form or another. So the challenges that I have now are just the same. With that, I'll wish you well. And my life is done. Be safe, but not too safe.